Okay, we are live. We are on. Hey, what is happening, people? Woodsy Workout here, and I wanted to check in with you guys on YouTube because it's been a little while. I've been really busy putting out more content on Instagram, and I've been working on a few things, kind of backstage, that I'm excited to share with you guys. So that's coming soon. I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. But yeah, I've been posting almost daily on Instagram, trying to put some insightful, helpful content out for you guys. Not just like the kind of stories, day in the life stuff, but always try to put a little bit of something that you can take away. So yeah, check those things out on Instagram. But I wanted to hop on here to do a little more long form kind of stuff because it's you can't always condense things down into 90-second increments, even though I try to do my best. But yeah, so hopping on today to kind of do a little more long form, a little more off script. I tend to, for a lot of my videos, talk or I write a script out, and I kind of to try and condense it and be precise about what I'm saying. So this is just as much for me to kind of work on my communication skills and live talking. So today, yeah, I've got a few questions and a few answers planned, but we'll kind of see where it goes. As I say, a bit more free flowing, more off script, and yeah, we've got some exciting stuff to talk about. I've got a few questions that I collected from Instagram that I asked asked you guys, and we also will talk some Hyrox stuff. Of course, we've got the Amsterdam majors coming up, so that's this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then I might touch on a few general topics: running, lifting. You guys wanted to know about some weight loss stuff. So we'll see how much time we got. I'm going up until about 2 o'clock, and then I'm hopping off because I've got starting a new course. I'm doing pre-script level 1. Some of you might know that. It's Jordan Shallow. We'd highly recommend looking into him. And he and they will be, so that course is all on like kind of biomechanics and another step level of coaching. So exciting for me to start that, and then I can kind of maybe share with you some more insights, and always trying to level up my coaching and provide and share as much info as possible, and be kind of well read on it, not just taking shots and guesses in the dark. But anyway, yes, we'll get into the questions. If you have any questions, if you're watching now live, then you can put them in the chat, or if you're watching it recorded, drop your questions in the comments, or you can reach me on Instagram at Woodsy Workout. Anywhere, basically, I'll find them. I'll put them. If I don't answer them now, I'll add them to a list, and we can do that in a future video. But yeah, let's get cracking. So first question: how to train for a half marathon? This one, it very much depends on how what your goals are and what your previous experience is. So that's kind of where I would start as a coach, in terms of what have you done, what's your previous fitness experience, and what are your goals of the race. And this is the same for any race. Doesn't matter if it's half marathon, Hyrox, an OCR race. If your goal is completion, or it's get a specific time, or it's be competitive, it changes how you prepare for that race. So what I'll do is I'll kind of talk a little bit of if you was a real beginner and you're aiming for that completion. If you've done one before and you're looking to then improve upon your time, or if you're really trying to push it and you want to be competitive, whether it's in your age group, even amongst your friends, or something like that. So yeah, starting off, how much training have you done building into it? If you're a complete beginner and you're looking to complete the half marathon, then we want to look at just gradually building up your tolerance to running, and then before the half marathon, the race itself will probably be the longest you have run for. So generally there's a lot of debate on like how much you need to do. I think around 75%. So or if it's a half marathon, then around that sort of 15k mark is normally quite good. If you can do that, then you tend to I would be confident in knowing that you could do the full distance on race day. There's a lot that goes into it, but you want to be just building up your running gradually. Normally around your volume, your total volume, whether it be time or distance, you're basically gradually increasing that by around 10% each week. And then after 3 weeks, take it down a little bit and have what we call a deload. So you basically build, drop down a little bit, build, drop down a little bit. Okay, and that's quite a good way of then approaching it. And then if you're going from no running at all, you might need a bit of a longer runway as such, because you might start off doing, 2 or 3 5Ks a week, and then just gradually increasing that. If you're a complete beginner, then run and walk is a very viable option. You want to be basically just gradually building up your volume, and don't look at it like the walking is a failure or anything. Like, you want to be building up your time on your feet. So for a lot of you, if you're just starting out, then walking will still be working your aerobic system, still be building up your tolerance in your legs, and it can be really beneficial. If we take it a step further and we want to try and go for things like a certain time, or beating your previous time, or progressing, or you just want to, maybe you haven't done a half marathon before, but you want to have a good crack at it, you've got maybe a decent sporting background or something like that, then we want to start to look at the specific runs in a little more detail, and probably start to break things up into the kind of classic split is like a long run, more of a quality run, and then more of like a recovery run. And you can have multiple of these in per week, but basically you're having a different goal for each run, and we're adding a little more intentional stimulus to your training. So with the quality runs, you might be doing intervals, and if it's a half marathon, like what's in the example, or what was in the question, then those intervals, they're not like super short. You don't need to be doing like 400, 200 meters at top speed. You might be doing 1 or 2 kilometers at a faster pace. So at sort of like 80% of your max heart rate, or we're just kind of working at your goal race pace, and then be coming down and take a recovery for maybe a minute to 3 minutes, probably shorter if you're going longer distance. Like a half marathon, you tend to do more longer intervals with shorter rest, and the shorter the race, so if it's like a 10k, a 5k, then we're working more on, we want that speed, And so you need to take longer rest periods, and it will be shorter intervals. So it might be more like 400s and 800s meters. So this is general stuff. Like, again, I'm not like a running coach, but this is things that I've picked up from running myself and researching it and coaching clients. So that's that would then be, obviously I need more specifics to kind of give you a very detailed plan, but that's kind of gets you going in the right direction, hopefully. And then when we're looking at races where your goal is to compete, that you're probably not asking me on running advice, but it might be. So it might be a half marathon, it might be a Hyrox, it might be a 10K. You might be competing for your age group, you might be competing against friends, colleagues or something. Then you can start to have a little bit of fun with it and be looking to strategize. So it's in your training, it doesn't change too much, but especially when you're racing, you're looking to play to the competition rather than just stick to a race plan as such. So depending on what comes up and where those people are in the race, you can kind of stick to them or start to develop strategies where you might be, okay, I'm going to come out fast, find my position, and then just try and sit with a front pack or hold on. Or it could be, right, I'm going to start slower, let them go, let them sort of fight it out at the front. And then as they start to slow down, pick them off and choose where you're going to really make like a surge. So that's sort of more race tactics and strategies. But yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let me just take a quick sip. Got the post-workout shake. Did some intervals myself. Hawks just dropped into the chat. Thank you for all the information you provide. Thank you, Hawk. I appreciate it. So next question we've got: how long should program phases be? So again, this one, I hate to say with all of these questions, it depends, but I'll give you kind of some examples as well as just saying it depends if I need more detail. So training phases of your program, a key indicator of how long a training phase should be is on your previous training experience or your training age. So not just like not just how old you are, but like how long have you been training, how quickly can your body adapt to the training stimulus that you're giving it in that program. So in the beginning, you don't need to change your program that much. If you're just starting out, then there's multiple reasons why you would change it, but in terms of just getting a good stimulus and being able to progress early on, your body will progress from a novel stimulus, and you can keep overloading it week on week for quite a long time. If you are more experienced and the more training that you've done, then you can start to see where you hit those plateaus where it becomes very hard to keep making more progress week on week. And then it would be beneficial to change it up more regularly. In terms of general overall, I tend to keep it between sort of 3 and 5 or 6 weeks of the same program. And then I'll tend to change it. But again, it's this sort of thing. If it's not broke and you're seeing progress, then keep going. You can keep going on the same program if you keep seeing progress, until we start to hit those plateaus where you're getting a little bit stuck. And especially if you've got a well-balanced program, then that can be really viable, like a really viable option just to keep at it until things start to slow in terms of your progress. But if but the good thing about like changing things 3 to 4 weeks at a time is it kind of gives you enough time to get used to the exercises, start to try and make some changes and some and see some development, and then you might start to hit those plateaus 3 to 4 weeks in, and then we can change it up so where we're getting a range of different exercises in, and that can also help with like things like repetitive strain injuries. And also it's very difficult to fit everything into one program. So by sort of cycling through exercises, grips, positions, you get a much more well-balanced approach to things. Okay, so yeah, there's I can go a little deeper into program phases, but I'm seeing some other questions come in, so we'll look to answer those as well. So PMC asks, what's a good weekly split the last 8 to 12 weeks before Hyrox competition? Strength, run, Hyrox specific, bike. Yeah, so 8 to 12 weeks is the sort of build up to Hyrox, where if it's your sort of first race, or in maybe you've done 1 or 2, then 8 weeks is sort of the minimum, I would say, requirement in terms of building into your race and being specific. But a good split might you start to get more Hyrox specific as you get closer to the competition. I like to keep some strength training in all the way up until about 2 to 3 weeks out. So there would be, depending on what your strengths and weaknesses are, you those sort of 8 weeks out, you can still be focusing more on your weaknesses. So if, for example, strength was a weakness of yours, then you would do maybe 2 or 3 strength sessions, a 1 Hyrox specific session, and then 2 or 3 run sessions. And then as you get 4 weeks out, that might be more like 3 Hyrox sessions, 1 full body strength session, and then 2, maybe 3 run sessions. Okay, so it depends. The split depends on your strengths and weaknesses, but as you get closer, we're doing more Hyrox specific stuff, to the point where I would, like right now, I'm 2 and a bit weeks out from Birmingham Hyrox. My split is basically Monday easy recovery run. That's I kind of substitute that for my long run as well. So that, and then I do interval run, a Hyrox session on a Wednesday, more of a recovery run on a Thursday, and then Hyrox session on Friday or Saturday and on Sunday. Okay, so there's like, it starts to stack up, and then obviously the week before your race you're starting to taper. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Chris Bell asks, in your experience, where do you see your compromised running heart rate change compared to non-compromised running? E.g., would you see a zone 2 pace and end up nearer your threshold when compromised? Okay, I think I understand what you're asking there, Chris. Basically, compromised heart rate. So basically, the difference between like what your heart rate is when you're compromised running compared to when you're non-compromised. And obviously, so yeah, when you're compromised, your heart rate is going to be higher when you're running at the same pace. The question, would you see a zone 2 run pace up nearer where your threshold? Yeah. So your zone 2 running pace is like, in terms of the pace that you can hold, not the heart rate, would be similar to the pace you're holding when you're compromised, but your heart rate will be higher. Yeah. So, I mean, I did a video on how to work out your running pace. But in terms of like the easiest kind of way I describe it is your running pace, it feels like a 10K hard effort. So it's that kind of like hard, high intensity, but somewhat maintainable feeling. But then your pace is more like a half marathon or marathon pace. So much closer to what you do an easy kind of zone 2 run at, even though it does not feel easy at all. But yeah, and that's kind of sometimes the mistake people make, especially when you're first coming into it, is like you might know your times for different things, and then you're trying to hold, I'm trying to hold a 10K pace, but then you just get hit by the stations. Like normally my heart rate overall is like around 85%, like somewhere in that ballpark. But if I was to do that running fresh and my heart rate was at 85%, I would be much faster than what I would be with the stations compromising you. Next question we've got, Daniel is asking, just want to thank you for Hyrox Race Ready program. I appreciate it. Used it to train for Hyrox Toronto. First race, it was very useful. Thank you for offering these training tools. Thank you, Daniel. We really appreciate that. And we got a question coming in as well from Dan. During first race, noticed burpee broad jumps, my hamstrings and glutes were toast and had to compromise time to meet the standards. How can I increase my endurance in the posterior chain? Yeah, so that's quite a lot of people would benefit from strengthening your posterior chain, not just from a strength perspective, but also an endurance perspective, because when we're doing a lot of running in the race, and then we're going into exercises that you might think are quite anterior focused, like quite quad dominant, but you should be using your glutes and your QL, so the muscles in your back, and your hamstrings to stabilize. And if they are fatigued from running, then it can be quite hard to complete some of those exercises to a good standard. In terms of like burpee broad jumps, you might find, like, I haven't really felt necessarily my hamstrings on the burpee broad jumps, but I can understand like it might be a case of your mobility in terms of accessing those ranges when we're like things like when we're stepping up and we're like you're hinging over, you're hinging forward. So that is a lot of hamstrings, especially if you're sort of standing up, folding forward a lot. that is your lower back, glutes, hamstrings. So things that can help with that would be 45-degree back extensions is a good one, or even the horizontal back extension, so on like a GHD machine. Good mornings, barbell good mornings, or even just with a plate out front. So with that one, we're sending the hips back. RDLs, single leg RDLs are really good, especially you're starting then to work on your stability as well. So yeah, doing those, and you'll find, like with something like a single leg RDL, if you are not proficient in it, you tire with it really quickly. So you might be able to do the first few reps, and then all of a sudden you start to be like really off balance as you start to tire. So those are ones that you can start to build into your program and be doing a little bit higher reps, so maybe 8 to 10. If you really struggle with the balance, then using a landmine attachment can be really helpful there. Cool. So hopefully that answered your question. Once again, thanks for the program shout out. The Hyrox Race Ready program is on my site. So that's like an 8-week program that is quite well rounded. So you can check that out on my website, coactiveperformance.com. Right, now let's see what other questions we got. So which influencers to follow? So this is quite a good one myself, but no, fitness influencers that I respect. Luka Hosovar, he puts out a lot of really good content. I actually have only found him recently, but literally since finding him, I've been like, whoa, so much good stuff on there, both from like if you're a coach, but also some really good stuff on his YouTube if you're just looking for little bits and pieces. And he's done like so much that you can probably just use him as like a fitness search engine and like put in what you if you have a query on something, or you want like a specific thing, then just search whatever you're looking for, and then Luka Hosovar, it'll probably come up. Jordan Shallow, he is, I talked about a bit earlier, I'm starting a course, the Prescript course. So Jordan Shallow really knows his stuff. It's quite in depth, and it might appeal more to coaches, or if you're really into your strength and conditioning, or you're a bit more sport focused, then I would look into him. And also Corey Schlesinger, I think it's Schlesinger. He's on Instagram at /strength. He's the strength and conditioning coach for the Phoenix Suns. But his content that he puts out on Instagram is really good. If you're more like kind of general pop and you want to like want some tips on losing weight, then Jordan Syatt and the Mind Pump guys, they're quite good at putting things in like an easy to follow way, and stuff that's quite applicable to just general life. So yeah, maybe check those out. And the last one I would say is the Squat University guy on Instagram. He's always putting out like a lot of content more on like lifting techniques and lifting and cues and things that you can use. Right, so that's most of the questions. Let's get on to the big topic at hand, which is the Hyrox Amsterdam, which is coming up this weekend. Shout out if you are doing it. Good luck. But we've got the Hyrox majors. So this will be the first major of the season, and So we're going to see some of the big names, some new names that are there. I'm going to be honest with you, like I haven't followed the elite side of things as much as I did before the World Championships. I've had a quick flick and just looked at a few different times and a few people that have come through. But yeah, they have released the lineup for this Saturday, and some of the people I'm kind of most interested about are to see is the matchup between James Kelly and Alex Ronkovic. I think obviously Ronkovic won the World Championships. He's kind of got I think he's this year at this season, he's got kind of low-key got the goal of can he win every single major as well as the World Championship. So you know, he's quietly competitive. But then James Kelly has been like going from strength to strength, and really he seemed to figure something out, I think, towards the end of the season last year. And you know, he showed that it's not just a fluke or a fast course or something like that. You know, he's consistently shown now that he's up there, and he's just keeps progressing. So it'll be really, I think it'll be interesting to see how he can match up against Ronkovic. And then some others that we want to see is Jake Dearden. He has had a really fast, a really strong kind of almost this preseason as such. Yeah, threw down a really fast Hyrox in Cape Town, and like a 2:30 under 2:30 marathon as well. So he's in great shape, and in a prime position to kind of disrupt. So we'll see how he does. And also I think Rylan Shadegg is racing in this major. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if he is, I mean, hopefully he's at 100% health, because that was what stopped him from competing in the World Champs. But yeah, I'm super interested to see how he stacks up, because we haven't seen him amongst a lot of the elite field, or particularly the new elite field, so much. So yeah, and he's quite an interesting racer. You know, he's got different strategies, and he's a very fast runner. So throwing him into the mix will be good, and I'm excited to watch that. On the women's side, we've got the classic names, which is good. Like I'm looking forward to seeing them battle it out again. So Meg Jacobi, Lauren Weeks. I still think that they're that little step above the rest of the field, but anything can happen. And it's a new season. We've had a little bit of time off where things can kind of shake up a little bit. People can step into the arena and step up. I mean, we've seen, you know, a couple of years ago, Meg came on and really made a splash from not nowhere, but like hadn't had a lot of race experience and was still winning. I think it's going to get harder and harder to do that, but we still might see it. But I think, and also like I know Meg kind of dominated in the World Championships, but I'm still not counting Lauren Weeks out. In fact, Matty just popped into the chat. I'll be interested to see how Lauren looks after she wasn't happy with her Worlds performance. Yeah, and this is something. Yeah, I'm interested to see how she responds. She's always like very professional with like her response, and won't make excuses. But to me, I mean, I was there watching. I think she really struggled with the sled pull, whether that was the sled itself or just a weakness in her training or in that particular race. It might have just been the point at which she started to fatigue or something, but she certainly looked like she really struggled with that rope pull, and then lost a lot of time from there, and then kind of she brought it right the way back to where she was. She finished second, so that will be interesting to see if she can have a clean run. I think they will be much more evenly matched, at least. But not to take away from what Meg done. Had an absolutely dominant performance in Nice, and it's not like she'll just give it away. She's super competitive, but we have seen this kind of back forth between Meg and Lauren. So and quite often they're not close races. Like either one of them will win by a fairish margin. So that's something. Yeah, I'm super excited to see how that goes. But yeah, let us know in the chat or in the comments who you're backing, or predictions. But I mean, the standard this year, I mean, this season it's stepping up and up and up. So that's if I didn't mention anyone, that's no discredit to them. And even for the age groupers, like this year, it's going to be super competitive to get into. I think there's a lot of the races because there's now more races around the world. There's even less slots. Well, less slots per race. So a lot of them there'll only be one or two slots per age group. And this time they are favoring the pro, which I do think is a good thing. It's only kind of like if there is an odd number, they'll give it to the pro division. So there might, in some races that are smaller, there might not actually be a slot in the open division for your age group for the World Championships. So that might change some people's tactics on whether they do open or pro. I know, like last season, it was almost there was like a method where like you could go, I actually have more chance in competing in the open to get through to the World Championships, which I think was it wasn't quite right, I don't think. So slightly better this year. We'll see how that pans out with the rest of the season. As for myself, I'm going to be doing Birmingham Hyrox in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to do men's pro there, and that will be I'm really trying to do my best time. Nice, I felt like I was in a really good fitness, like all of my markers were in the right direction, but I just didn't put together quite the right prep beforehand, and that combined with some of the race conditions, it didn't kind of come together on race day. So I feel like I've got a little bit left on the table that I didn't kind of express that kind of level of fitness. So really want to have a good race in Birmingham, and fingers crossed. So far my training and build-up's been going well. I haven't done quite so much Hyrox like simulation stuff, but things are still looking like they're in a good place. It's hard to measure as of yet, but we'll see. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to be in Birmingham on Friday night. If you're there, come and say hello. And then the other big announcement, as well as so I'm going to be doing Manchester doubles with a coach that I train with in Coactive, and then that's the November one. And then I will be doing the London Hyrox doubles, pro doubles with my brother, and then we're going to be doing a Woodsy team relay on the Sunday. So my dad and my other brother, so the four of us, we'll be doing a family Hyrox relay and seeing what we can do there. At all of these, I'm going to be giving away some goodies. So we've got some new Hyrox patches. Let's see if I can get anyone. The new Woodsy workout patches. I'll be giving a few of those away. Training plans, and what is now going to be coming out very, very soon is the Hyrox handbook, which I've been writing. So that's what I've been working on. And that should be ready, hopefully, fingers crossed, for Birmingham, but it will definitely be out for Manchester. So if you see me at the events, come and say hey, and you might get your hands on some free Woodsy workout merch / plans, or programs, ebooks. Plenty of good stuff there. I think that's pretty much everything. Like I went over most of the questions. We'll kind of leave it there as I'm a little push for time. But hopefully you found that useful. Again, I'm pretty new to the live stuff, so let me know if that was any good, and we'll be doing more of them, because I quite enjoyed it. Need to get better at them. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.